facilitate conversations that way, rather than talking about themselves. And so they're in a conversation asking somebody, so what do you do for a living? I make tables. You make tables? Fascinating. Tell me about these tables. So what's the difference between these manufactured tables that are solid wood and the pressed board, and why is it that we're importing so many of these tables? Isn't that expensive? And what's up with the chipwood market? And this chipwood, is that stronger than, say, plywood? Does the glue have any improvement in that? You know, they're just soaking up the knowledge. Moreover, there's a situation with memory. The rich are getting richer. The more you know, the more you can understand. The more you know, the more you can understand, the more you remember. The more you remember, the easier it is to remember future things that you are exposed to. This is a lot of what we're trying to do in a university education. We're trying to make somebody an educated person, trying to expose them to a lot of different things in the world. So, for the rest of their life, if they're exposed to new things, they're going to be more likely to remember it. But the person who's closed off, and for me, the most frustrating type of student to teach is the student that thinks they know it all already. The person who thinks they know it all already is the least teachable. And usually, if you think you know it all, you've probably been around long enough to have seen this, people that know it all actually know the least. It's a case, though, when you become an educated person, you realize how little you actually do know. The more you learn, the more you realize how much there is to learn and how much you don't know. If you learn one thing, it often raises two questions. I've often thought it was almost like exponential ignorance that we're paying for here at the university. But regardless, you need to be motivated, and that motivation, that hunger to learn, will facilitate future learning. So, the number 15 suggestion, be motivated. Be hungry for knowledge. Be a sponge for new information. Continue to learn. That will serve you well now and in the future. And I don't know if this one is teachable. I don't even know if I'm wasting your time telling you this, but I do know that this is the difference between people that know a lot, people that are very educated, and people who are not. The people that are educated, know a lot, have useful information, they're motivated, they're hungry for knowledge overall. And frankly, it makes them a more interesting person. Does telling this have any impact on people? I don't know. Research has never been done on that, but this is an important variable. Number 16, related to that, only you can improve your memory. So you need to take control of your memory. If you want to do better in school, then that motivation can lead to better performance. And hopefully I'm giving you some of the tools to do that. But obviously I can't do this. This needs to come from you. You need to do these things. You need to schedule the time. You need to take the notes on your reading in your own words. You need to review the information before going to sleep. You need to do these things. Nobody else can do that for you. If you want to do it, it has to be up to you. Now another strategy, number 17, look at your class notes the same day you take them. Very efficient strategy. And I told you a few of these strategies are more efficient. They're almost like silver bullet things that don't require a tremendous amount of additional effort and work. Look at your class notes the same day you take them. Remember Ebbinghaus? How quickly the information drops off after we quickly learn it? Well, what happens is, if we look at, say, down 9 hours, when we're below 40% after learning something, if you review that again, bring it back up to 100%, maybe a little above 100%, then next time it doesn't go down as far. It won't go down as far on this graph. That's the benefit of rehearsal. Now, if we look at that, we're at 9 hours, it's gone down below 40%. A good example of that is what happens in an algebra class. In an algebra class, especially towards the end of the term, you're kind of just holding it together. You can understand it just barely well enough at the end of the lecture to do the homework. Have you ever had a situation like that? I remember my math instruction was like that, where you'd just be like, okay, just barely with them. Okay, I got it, learning this formula. Okay, and they give you the homework, which is an integral part of learning math. They give you the homework, and then you think, okay, can I do this? And at the end of the class, I remember many times thinking, oh yeah, I can do that. I know exactly how to do that. But if I waited till Sunday night, a couple days later, or even that night, a lot of times I've forgotten enough that prevented me from doing the homework, or had to go back and relearn it. So this is an example of that. If you do the information, rehearse the information after a bunch of it's been forgotten, bring it back up to 100%, then next time, if you imagine how this works, so bring it back up to 100%, and the next time it won't go down as far. So this is the curve how it normally would look, but if you're going down, bring it back up to 100%, and then it won't go down as far the next time. Number 18, attend every class. Now, tuition has gone up, but I looked up the tuition price for 2008-2009 tuition promise for here at Western Oregon University, and it's already gone up since then. But at that point, you were paying $35.10 for each 2-hour lecture. So if the class meets for 2 hours, you're spending $35 for every 2-hour lecture. And that's if you had an earlier tuition rate in state. It costs even more now. Treat your job, your education, like a job. Some people suggest contacting professors if a student misses a class. $35, $40 a lecture, maybe more, especially for out-of-state folks. $40 a lecture? I mean, treat this like a job. I mean, if you're borrowing money to go to school, that $40 is going to cost you, say, $50 or $55 or $60 ultimately by the time it's paid off. So treat this like a job. This is an investment in your future. Don't skip out on that. I don't really understand. I try to set my classes up so students don't ever miss a class. Pop quizzes can help with that. But I know a lot of students are not attending all of their classes, and it just doesn't make sense to me. You know, a student, actually just recently, a student tried to add a class a couple weeks into the quarter. And I said, no. I said, you've missed 20% of the class. He's like, 20%? What are you talking about? It's like, yeah, the quarter's only 10 weeks long, and we're 2 weeks through it. You're not going to attend a class till the 3rd week. You've missed 20% of the material. At best, you're going to get 80% in the class if I've set it up right. So don't miss a class. I believe if a student misses 1 out of 20 classes, they should have a 5% lower grade. No, 1 out of 20 is 5%. Don't ever miss a class. Moreover, don't miss the first day of class. That's the worst day of class to miss in terms of understanding the expectations of the course, going over the syllabus. I think a lot of students will treat that class as an expendable day. And the day after an exam. The day after the exams are the most missed classes. And those are the days that we're setting up the context that I was talking about earlier for the entire next unit. And so that is also a terrible day to miss. Challenge yourself, or I challenge you. Don't miss another day of class in your academic career. I started doing that around my junior year, sophomore, junior year. I made a commitment to never miss a day of class, and I only missed one. No, one day I got sent out because I was vomiting, and so the professor made me leave as a TA. And then the other day was the day after my mom died. Those are the only days of class that I missed in the 8 years of schooling. This is a job. You don't miss your job, I hope. Don't miss your class. That's just a terrible way to succeed. Number 19, avoid any alcohol or any medication that makes you sleepy. Any drug that makes you sleepy impairs memory performance. So watch out for Benadryl. If you have allergies and you're taking over-the-counter antihistamine like Benadryl, that can negatively impact memory. Alcohol can negatively impact memory. So watch out for any medication that makes you sleepy. Number 20, eat right. Avoid high glycemic foods, the high sugar foods, the simple carbs. If you eat 3 donuts before an 8 o'clock class, it might improve your ability to make memories from 8 to 8:45, but then after that your memory ability will be worse than it would have been if you hadn't eaten any of those. So another thing is to try more complex carbs as opposed to the simple carbs. You don't go down, have that low blood sugar level afterwards. There's also research that shows throughout one's life if we eat more omega-3 fatty acids, fish, nuts, olive oil, that improves memory. There's also indication over one's life if we eat foods that are high in antioxidants, the dark fruits and vegetables, for example, the colorful fruits and vegetables. That has a positive impact over time. Short term, it also helps because it regulates blood sugar level. You don't get the low blood sugar level, which can impair memory as well if you're eating more whole foods. Number 21, exercise. Getting physical exercise can improve memory. We're finding research this is true throughout the lifespan. In children, young adults that aren't getting enough exercise, some studies are showing that they have more memory and academic problems. Just being outside and getting exercise helps. So that physical exercise is an important variable. Also watch your weight, particularly as we get older, but even in young adulthood, being overweight, particularly if it leads to diabetes, is going to be associated with memory problems. Number 22, stay organized. This is a big topic, actually. Staying organized. There's actually specialists that help adolescents, particularly males, have a harder time with this, staying organized. You just need to stay organized in your life if you're going to perform well in academia, if you're going to perform well in school. So one of the things is, you got all of your notebooks, stay organized in terms of your notes, your class notes, your PowerPoint slides, get them printed out, your syllabi. Also stay organized in terms of your list of things to do. It's nice to have a list of activities that you need to do, academic, maybe even some non-academic things on that list, because when you get to the point where you just can't read another page of the textbook, you're trying to paraphrase the information in your own words, you just can't. You're tired, you're fatigued, but yet you still have some time carved out to get things done. Look at the list. Many times there'll be things on that list that don't require a lot of brain injury or brain energy. For example, printing out the PowerPoint slides, getting a book, just doing some of the things involved with maintaining your life, doing the laundry, things like that. Stay organized, get as much as you can done, be conscientious that way, and that leads to better academic performance. Now, in the worst case scenario, where people can't even find their assignments, you often think of the high school student in this situation, where they want to do their homework, but they're so disorganized they can't do it. That also wreaks havoc on academic ability. But if you're watching this video, you're probably beyond that point. But that's another one. If you have younger siblings or children, that's a very important time that they need to learn those organizational skills. There's even specialists that can help with that. Number 23, manage your stress levels. As we talked about earlier, stress affects attention. So manage those stress levels. Do what needs to be done. Exercise is probably one of the best way for college students to manage their stress level. Just 30 minutes, when you just feel like this is going to happen. I mean, if you're pushing yourself, this is going to happen to you. Where the stress is heavy, it's weighing on you. You almost feel sick because of the stress. Well, that stress can actually make you sick, makes you more likely to get an illness, for example. But when you get to that point, your memory ability is going to be impaired. So physical exercise, 30 minutes, 40 minutes of exercise, some aerobic exercise, maybe put a little strength training in there, that will alleviate a lot of that stress, make you more likely to study. I mean, if you only have 3 hours blocked out and you're stressed, you'd be much better off to spend the first 30 minutes getting some exercise, and then 15 minutes in getting back to where you can study, and then only studying for a little over 2 hours, rather than studying for that entire 3 hours stressed out. So avoid that stress, and also help sleep as well. Number 24, manage your moods. This is my final suggestion, is to manage your moods. Watch out for depression. Watch out for low mood. Hopefully this isn't most people I'm talking about, but 20% of college students are prone to major depression, unipolar depression. There's also some are prone to bipolar, not as common, but that 20% of the population that is prone to a mood disorder, may not be diagnosable, but they have a predisposition to it, their memory ability will be negatively impacted by that. So once again, the physical exercise is one of the best things that you can do for that. Some other research is showing that the fish oil tablets help people almost as much as a drug like Prozac if they have depression. So the fish oil, the physical exercise are some things that can be done. If it's more severe, talk to your medical doctor, consider a pharmaceutical intervention for the depression. But these were the 24 ways to improve memory and academic performance. I hope they've helped you. Thank you.